Hello, my friends. We've all grown up hearing about it. Soulmates. That one perfect person out there, just for us. But today, we're diving deep into a topic that might make you question everything you thought you knew about love. The title of our show today is a bold one: The Death of Love. Why soulmates are a dangerous myth. Have you ever wondered if the idea of soulmates is actually harmful? Does it set us up for disappointment? Does it keep us from seeing the potential in the person right in front of us? We're about to unpack all of that and more. Get ready to challenge your beliefs and redefine what it means to find true love. This is a conversation you won't want to miss. Chapter 1. Where did this whole soulmate thing even come from? So let's start at the beginning. The concept of soulmates has been around for centuries. We see it in ancient myths, in philosophy, and poetry. The ancient Greeks believed humans were once two halves of a whole, split apart by the gods. And ever since then, these separated souls have been searching for their other half. Now, isn't that romantic? But like many romantic ideas, it doesn't always line up with reality. Throughout history, marriage wasn't always about love. It was about social standing, economic stability, and building a family legacy. The idea of marrying for love is a relatively modern concept. And I'm all for love. Believe me, I am. But we have to be honest about the potential downsides of putting so much pressure on this idea of a soulmate. Because when we cling to this idea that there's only one perfect person out there for us, we might miss out on the beauty of connecting with someone who's right here, right now. Chapter 2. A match made in, Let's be honest, the idea of soulmates has been hijacked. It's been packaged and sold to us by Hollywood, by romance novels, by those perfectly filtered Instagram couples. We are bombarded with images of love at first sight, of grand gestures, of happily ever after. And don't get me wrong, I love a good rom-com as much as the next person. But we have to remember that these are fictional stories. They're designed to entertain us, not to provide a realistic blueprint for our own love lives. The problem is, when we're constantly exposed to these idealized versions of love, it can distort our expectations of what a real relationship should look like. We start to believe that if our love story isn't as effortless or as glamorous as what we see on screen, then it must not be true love. But here's the truth. Real love isn't always pretty. It's messy, it's complicated, it takes work. It's about two individuals, each with their own flaws and baggage, choosing to build a life together. And that, my friends, is far more beautiful and far more rewarding than any fairy tale romance. Let's be honest, the idea of soulmates has been hijacked. It's been packaged and sold to us by Hollywood, by romance novels, by those perfectly filtered Instagram couples. We are bombarded with images of love at first sight, of grand gestures, of happily ever after. And don't get me wrong, I love a good rom-com as much as the next person. But we have to remember that these are fictional stories. They're designed to entertain us, not to provide a realistic blueprint for our own love lives. The problem is, when we're constantly exposed to these idealized versions of love, it can distort our expectations of what a real relationship should look like. We start to believe that if our love story isn't as effortless or as glamorous as what we see on screen, then it must not be true love. But here's the truth. Real love isn't always pretty. It's messy, it's complicated, it takes work. It's about two individuals, each with their own flaws and baggage, choosing to build a life together. And that, my friends, is far more beautiful and far more rewarding than any fairy tale romance. Chapter 3. The High Cost of Searching for Your Other Half. Now let's talk about the impact this soulmate myth can have on our mental and emotional well-being. Because when we buy into this idea, it can set us up for a whole lot of heartache. Think about it. If you believe that there's only one person out there for you, the pressure to find that person can be immense. It can lead to feelings of anxiety, inadequacy, and loneliness. And what happens when you do find someone you care about? The soulmate myth can lead you to put them on a pedestal, to idealize them to the point where they can never live up to your expectations. And when they inevitably fall short, because let's face it, we're all human, you might start to doubt the relationship. You might wonder if they're truly your soulmate. This kind of thinking can create a cycle of unhealthy relationships. You might find yourself jumping from one person to the next, always searching for that elusive perfect match, never stopping to appreciate the love that's right in front of you. Chapter 4. Love shouldn't feel like a fairy tale, and that's okay. One of the biggest dangers of the soulmate myth is that it sets unrealistic expectations for what a relationship should be. We start to believe that our soulmate should just get us, that we should never have to explain ourselves, that there should never be any conflict. But here's the thing, even the healthiest, happiest couples disagree sometimes. They have different opinions, they have different communication styles, they drive each other crazy sometimes. That's part of what makes a relationship interesting, right? It's about learning to navigate those differences, to compromise, to grow together. Expecting a relationship to be effortless, to be conflict-free, is like expecting a garden to thrive without any weeding or watering. It's simply not realistic. Chapter 5. Is the soulmate myth sabotaging your love life? So we've talked about how the soulmate myth can set us up for unrealistic expectations, but it can also lead to something even more damaging, relationship dissatisfaction. When we buy into this idea of a soulmate, we might start to focus on our partner's flaws, on the ways they don't measure up to this idealized image in our heads. We might become hypercritical, nitpicky, and constantly searching for reasons why they're not the one. And you know what? Nobody wants to feel like they're constantly being judged or found wanting. This kind of negativity can poison a relationship from the inside out. Instead of appreciating our partners for who they are, we become fixated on who we think they should be. And that, my friends, is a recipe for disaster. Chapter 6. The pressure to find the one is real and it's hurting us. Let's talk about the pressure to find the one. In a world obsessed with soulmates, it's easy to feel like you're falling behind if you haven't found your perfect match. You might feel pressure from your family, from your friends, even from society at large to settle down with that special someone. And if you're single, you might start to question your own worthiness, to wonder what's wrong with you that you haven't found your soulmate yet. But here's the truth. There's no timeline for love. There's no deadline for finding your person. And frankly, this whole idea of the one can be incredibly limiting. It suggests that our hearts are only capable of loving one person deeply and fully, which simply isn't true. We are capable of loving multiple people in our lifetimes, each in different ways. Chapter 7. What if we redefined love altogether? So, if the soulmate myth is so problematic, what's the alternative? Well, I believe it's time to redefine love altogether. Instead of searching for our other half, what if we focused on becoming whole individuals ourselves? What if we embrace the idea that love is a choice, a conscious decision to build a life with another person? This means letting go of the fairy tale and embracing the messiness of real love. It means accepting that relationships take work, compromise, and a willingness to grow together. And you know what? That kind of love, the kind that's built on a foundation of mutual respect, trust, and understanding, is far stronger and more fulfilling than any soulmate fantasy. Chapter 8. Love stories that defy the soulmate myth. Now I know what you might be thinking. Oprah, that all sounds great in theory, but are there any real-life examples of couples who've built lasting love without this soulmate thing? And the answer is a resounding yes. I've met countless couples over the years who've proven that true love isn't about finding your perfect match. It's about creating a loving and supportive partnership with another imperfect human being. I'm talking about couples who've been together for decades, who've weathered storms and come out stronger on the other side. Couples who choose each other every single day, not because they're destined to be together, but because they want to be. These couples understand that love isn't always easy, but it's always worth fighting for. They're living proof that the soulmate myth is just that, a myth. Chapter 9, Ready to Build a Love That Lasts? Here's how. So how do we build these kinds of strong, resilient relationships? Relationships that are grounded in reality, not in fairy tales? Well, it starts with letting go of the soulmate myth and embracing a more realistic view of love. It's about understanding that no relationship is perfect, but with effort and commitment, we can build something truly special. Here are a few things to keep in mind. Communication is key. Talk to each other. Share your thoughts, your feelings, your needs. Embrace the differences. Remember, you're two unique individuals. Celebrate your differences instead of trying to change each other. Never stop dating. Keep the spark alive. Make time for each other even when life gets busy. Choose kindness. Treat each other with respect even when you're disagreeing. Seek help when you need it. There's no shame in asking for help. Remember, building a healthy, loving relationship is a journey, not a destination. It's about showing up for each other every single day and choosing to love each other, flaws and all. Chapter 10, The Death of the Soulmate Myth, A New Beginning for Love. So my friends, it's time to lay the soulmate myth to rest. It's time to stop searching for our other half and start embracing the beauty of wholehearted, imperfect love. Let's release ourselves from the pressure of finding the one and open our hearts to the possibility of finding love in unexpected places, with people who challenge us, inspire us, and make us want to be better versions of ourselves. Remember, love isn't about finding the perfect person. It's about choosing to see the perfection in an imperfect person, flaws and all. It's about building a partnership that's based on mutual respect, trust, and a whole lot of love. And that, my friends, is a love worth fighting for. What does love mean to you? So, I want to hear from you. What do you think about the idea of soulmates? Let us know in the comments below. This is a conversation that I know is close to many of your hearts, and I want to create a space where we can share our experiences, our hopes, and our dreams for love. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more thought-provoking discussions. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.